large scale delivery systems where we could deliver like millions of products in a single day. Um, and Zynga, I was leading some games at Zynga where I was leading games with millions of dollars of monthly revenues and billions of daily active users. Currently, I build a company called CodePub AI. It's a e-commerce version of Lovable, if you can say. And a lot of CodePub AI, 80% of CodePub AI is built using Cloud Code. So I'm a super power user of CodePub AI, super power user of Cloud Code. And thanks to Claude, I was able to run and build CodePub AI. All right, with that introduction, let's get started. What are we going to cover today, right? Um, I'll go through this quick so that, I mean, probably first half an hour, I'll go through what is Claude skill, why is it important, why should we go through it. I'll cover two live demos, which I think I'm liking after using it over the last couple of days. One live demo is about how do you create an entire PRD just with a simple idea or very vague idea. And I'll show you the art of what is possible there, right? Right from creating dynamic sequence diagram to user flows to expanding the problem statement, covering edge cases, covering user personas. A lot of interesting things squeezed in over there. Then we'll go through a blog writer skill. Again, so I'll show you a demo of how you can write a very complete blog along with an image generation. And how is skill really helpful here? And finally we'll end it up to say what is a framework and state of mental model which you have to follow if you have to over engineer and create a skill, or basic prompts will work. So I'll also cover through a small framework at the end. All right. Given this short format, probably I'll not make it too interactive. I will probably cover these along with live demos for first half an hour, and I'll open up for questions in the last 15 minutes. All right. Great. So what is skills, right? Like, what does it really matter? Um, Effectively, look, all of us have been using prompts in a very good way, like both in Claude.ai or ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude Code, different tools and different skill sets, and currently Claude Cowork as well. Now, you might have observed that oftentimes you have to give a lot of repetitive prompts, right? Let's say you have a particular brand language in mind, right? And it has to follow the brand language every time, right? The instructions have to be followed to the T. You don't want those AIish dash or double dashes out there in the final output, right? Because the output has to look very human, especially with the search engines penalizing all search engines and social media penalizing AI generated content, right? You need it to be very consistent out of the box every time. Let's say you're writing a PRD, you've got 5 or 10 different sections in mind. It has to follow that structure to the T. It should not deviate from the structure defined by you. And maybe some of you might have observed, like when you use Claude Code, especially, or even Cowork, it tends to go in circles trying to figure out how this needs to be done, right? Which means it's reading, let's say you got a small code base, you ask it to write a small blog. Now, every time you ask it to write a new blog, it's going to probably read your memory files, it's going to read your current code structure, layouts, and then finally go back to start building your blog. And again, the chances of repeating some mistakes that it always makes is pretty much possible, right? So skills are definitely a very good way to solve for token wastage as well, right? And then easier handoff, right? So let's say skills are easily portable, which means once you create a skill, which I'm going to show just now in a while, and I can also share these skills with you, which means the PRD skill that I'm going to demo to you, I'm going to share it with you guys. You guys can use it either from Claude Cowork or Claude Code and try to see the magic live, right? Probably you guys should definitely try it over the weekend. All right. So given this, what is the high level anatomy of a Claude skill, right? Like how does it really? Hey Lara, no spamming, please. I mean, let's limit this group to the particular session that's happening here. All right. So what is Claude skill, right? So what is the structure of a Claude skill? How do you even write a Claude skill, right? Effectively, it's a prompt. You can write a small prompt which defines what needs to be done. You can write set of rules. So you don't want this to become like a ninja agent which gets triggered at any random point in time. So you can set some controls in mind, right? Okay, given this Claude skill, what are the tools it can use? What are the levels of permissions that we can give to the particular skill? Can it be triggered by me or can it be triggered by Claude itself, right? So there are a lot of guardrails in place that Claude already provides. There are a lot of files that you can provide, like in terms of reference, right? Especially in terms of PRD, if your company follows a particular structure, you can give a lot of examples and references so that Claude can always follow the same structure. And finally, scripts, right? When you create a PRD, typically Claude works pretty well when you create a .md or a markdown output. But let's say after the markdown is completed, you want it to be converted into a PDF format or with your company's logo on top of it, right? And maybe a doc format so that you can later share with a couple of your colleagues and you can collaborate on top of it. So all these are part of scripts and maybe a blog article where I want to generate an image based on the content that I just generated. So all these are parts of scripts, which means think about it this way, right? You are creating a repeatable workflow for yourself where you are giving detailed instructions which goes into the skills.md or the prompt file. Then you're setting some rules. You're giving access to a couple of files where you can give references, examples, and other things. And finally, you have scripts so that Claude can run some of those terminal commands and do the job for you without connecting to maybe external APIs, right? Given this mental model, probably, so yeah, this is a skill.md structure. You got a name that you mentioned. So for example, for the PRD one, I have given it a name of feature breakdown. You have to be very careful when you write your descriptions because descriptions is a way through which Claude detects which skill to pick, right? So you can start typing to say, hey, create a PRD for me for this particular idea, and Claude automatically figures out, okay, Rajesh has probably 20 skills available, out of which I need to pick feature breakdown skill, right? So descriptions are super important. You need to be very specific to ensure Claude gets triggered only on a particular skill that you require it to trigger on, right? I can give a structure. Hey, look, I need a PRD. This is a high level structure in terms of what I need. So these are the instructions that go to your skill.md file, which is the prompt, right? Now, the skill.md can be stored at multiple levels, similar to claude.md file. It can either be at a personal level, which is at your laptop or a desktop level. It can, which applies to all your projects. You can trigger these skills from any of the projects within your cloud environment. The second one is at a project level. You don't want skills to spread all across your projects. You want skills to be present at and accessible via particular products. You can also define at that level. Very similar to Claude.md files. Claude.md is more of instructions to Claude in terms of following a particular pattern in terms of code generation. Um, Skills also apply at similar levels, at a personal level and a project level. And if you have an organization, you can also set some plugins at an enterprise level, right? So great. I Let's jump in. I think we have limited time, so let's jump in. I'll share my screen. Dudum, dudum. All right. Okay, great. So this is a PRD Maker folder that I have in my particular file. I'll show you how the skills.md file and other things look for this. Let me show you the magic first, and then I'll show you the structure in terms of what I have built here, right? Great. So I started my Claude. I'll say create a PRD for a new feature where builders on CodePop AI can integrate with their PayPal account and start receiving money. Okay. So CodePop AI currently has Stripe integrations. As a product manager, I need a new integration, which is with PayPal, where any builder who builds their website on CodePop AI can attach their PayPal account and start receiving money over that particular channel, right? So again, I've kept it very vague and very simple. Obviously, as product managers, we go much deeper. But let's see what Claude does, right? So this is the one for PayPal that I created previously, right? In this case, if you can see, again, this was me improvising on my prompts and Claude skills. In this particular case, it came back with a very detailed, tadam, tadam, what are the product decisions that we are going to do? What are the key technical flows? A high level sequence diagram, right? In terms of how the interactions happen between a builder, visitor, front end, back end, and my PayPal, right? Pretty useful when you are a technical PM. This takes some time to build, but thanks to the Claude skills and the scripts that I use, this all this happened in an instant, right? In a minute or so. And then tadam tadam, this is a user flow diagram. What happens in a PayPal integration, right? Um, Builder comes in, they open a payments dashboard, click connect with PayPal, and then does he have a PayPal account? If so, follow this particular onboarding flow. And if completed, once completed, probably check if webhook payments are received or not. And then, the payments are confirmed, right? So pretty elaborate in terms of what it came out with, thanks to the skills that I created. And all this was one shot, right? Now I got a repeatable workflow for my PRDs where I just write a single sentence and Claude comes up with all these elements thanks to the skills. And also, as you can see, I have added a small watermark of CodePub behind. I have also added a header and footer, to show my brand theme and brand color, which is pretty consistent all across. All these were possible thanks to Claude skills, right? Now let's jump into how that file looks like, right? Mm. So as you can see, this is the feature breakdown file that I created, right? Um, this sits in my Claude root folder, and there is a folder called under skills. There is a folder called feature breakdown, and if you see, there is a skills.md. I'll quickly show you the skill.md file and how it looks. Okay, this is how a skill.md file looks. I have given a very good description in terms of when this should be triggered. I have given explicit instructions to say, hey, trigger this whenever user says something like write a PRD for me or help me with a spec or break down this feature, right? This is super, super important. Otherwise, your Claude skill might not be triggered. I have given some configurations because I wanted it to be portable. So I'll share it probably after this call. All you need to do is there is a skill config MD file where you need to enter your own details, and Claude will start picking for your companies based on your brand colors, brand themes, instructions, and other sorts. And I told about, hey, be very clear about some of these. Who are you building for? What is the problem statement? I need a PRD summary. I need a problem statement, solution, why now? All the sections you see over there. And I also gave detailed instruction in terms of technical flow, some examples of mermaid diagrams, what are the business rules it has to follow, user flow diagrams, some examples of the same. Um, Pretty much a lot of instructions to ensure my workflow is repeatable. And in a way, I have trained Claude to, follow my custom instructions every time, every time I create a spec, right? And also, as you can see, I've given a lot of examples. I've given examples of brand colors. I've given a checklist of how release notes should look like. I have given examples of different templates, a PRD template, analytics events template, brand colors, a lot of different things, right? So this is pretty much what we covered just now, which says there's a skill.md file, which is more of an instruction. I improvised it further to say I also created a skill config MD file so that any of you can reuse the skill that I have created for my own organization. There are a lot of files which I created, which Claude uses as reference at the runtime. These are super helpful because you don't want to bloat up your context window right on the first go. So what Claude does is it only looks at skill.md file during your initial instruction set. And if the skill matches, and only when required, it goes to your detailed documents, right? So that way you always keep the context very concise and precise. All right. And also, so I also talked about scripts, right? So convert underscore PRD Python, this is a script that runs every time my overall PRD is generated, right? So how this works is Claude works through all these instructions, creates a markdown file, and that markdown file is converted into a PDF and doc file, which I just displayed to you, documentation file. And all this is done thanks to the scripts that I've generated. So pretty much an advanced use case in terms of how I use Claude Skill to create my PRD. Okay, great. This is one good example. I think other good example probably I'm not able to show you because Claude is facing some issues, but I can also show you a blog file that I generated, right? Ta-dum, ta-dum. So I have a blog writer skill. Yes. So this is much straightforward and much simpler. I have given it an instruction. So I have a website right now, which is CodePub AI's website. So if you can see, I have got a lot of blogs in here, and all these blogs are generated in a particular format, right? When you look at a blog, I need a title, I need a subtitle, I need a description, I need a small image to be generated, and then the entire body of what the blog says, right? Also, I don't want this to be AI, so I want to humanize the entire blog content creation. So it doesn't look like AI has created this entire content, right? And my code base has a particular structure. I sort of automate this entire thing by storing the blog data in a JSON format. So Claude, what I did is in the Claude skills, I sort of created a Claude skill which is highly customized for my particular use case. Okay, all right. This is highly customized for my use case, right? I would just go in, punch in a topic, and this blog writer skill will create the entire JSON structure for me, which will directly push to production, and my blog is published automatically, right? And I also wrote a script that should be triggered, which automatically calls the Gemini APIs to create an image for me. So I read a simple one-liner in terms of the blog that I need. Claude Skill takes care of the rest and publishes the blog along with an image, right? So if you look at this MD file, I gave detailed instructions in terms of what to do, what not to do, which sort of language to use, what sort of tone to use. There are different components in a blog, like the title, the metadata description, what goes into first paragraph, what are the different tags that it should create, right? Multiple elements, and also these are SEO optimized, right? So I need to create a something in this format, data slash blog slash slug.json, which is required for front end to render. And I also show a lot of relevant posts under each blog, right? So I give detailed instructions in terms of what to do, what not to do. And finally, once everything does, I also gave it a script to run, right? So if you see, this is a script that I already have, which I want Claude to run, where it takes input as the title of this blog, and it runs it through a Gemini API to create an image dynamically for me. So yeah, this is a very simple instruction file, but again, if I had to do this again and again on Claude, Claude code, probably I'll have to create a memory file. Claude will probably divert once in a while, and I'll have to course correct, which means I waste a lot of tokens, right? So this is a fantastic way to automate your workflows if you have a definitive, repeatable path which you want to follow again and again. All right, cool. Tadam, tadam. Let me go back to the PPT. Great. And by the way, so these are just, we are touching, just scratching the surface of what Claude Skills or Claude can do. I'm also hosting a cohort from starting from March 27th, where we go pretty deep into AI coding. Like this is the entire knowledge that I've gained over last 1 year in terms of using Claude Code to build code for AI, condensed into one simple cohort over 6 weeks period, right? So we'll have a lot of capstone project, we'll have hands-on sessions, we'll go topic by topic in terms of what you need to learn within Claude Code to become a good expert in terms of building real products that you can take live, right? The success metric for me would be like all my cohort students should be able to repeatably and efficiently build some of these products and take them to production and live. So that is a confidence that all these cohort students will get. This is a QR code. You can scan the QR code or you can go to the link. This is also available. I mean, this is available on Maven. So feel free to check it out. Great. Again, blog writer skill. I think we discussed enough about this. I have a content idea, which I go through, which goes through Claude Skill, which creates a detailed blog JSON as well as runs the image script for me. That's how the blog was getting published, right? All right. So I think I will just leave you with one thought, and then we'll open it for Q&A. What is a framework that you should keep in mind before you use skill, right? Very simple. If it is a repeatable process, if you have the structure, if the structure of the output really matters to you, if you want a consistent output anytime and every time, and if you want Claude to follow your instructions in the same exact way again and again, right? So think about some of these mental models. I think I love it when we use it for PRD generation because it's a repeatable executional task. I love it for block generations, and it follows my brand tone and brand colors to the T. Front-end generation, there are a lot of interesting skills available right now to avoid the AI slop. I think there is a repository called Taste Skill, which you guys should definitely try. There are some by Versal. There is a front-end design skill by Claude as well, Anthropic as well. All those are pretty interesting, right? Social media posts, brilliant, right? Again, lovely because these are different formats and these are very small formats, right? So Claude does fantastic job in terms of automating your social media posts. Research summarization, customer email drafting, and again, the space is wide open. It depends on which use case you wanted to build and how you want to customize. But key thing to keep in mind is whichever is a repeatable process that you want to automate using Claude, you should definitely go for Claude skills. All right. I will stop here. I'll open it up for questions. 1 second. I'll give you the chat access. All right, great. Anyone has any questions? Probably this is a good time to ask. Who wants to go first?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good.
Hi, this is Eddie. Thank you. Question. So when you build out these very detailed PRDs, do you just feed it into Claude Code and it builds them out and it follows the instructions precisely? Because it just seems like a lot, and I've used PRDs, but never that detailed. So it seems like, is it going to lose some of the context? Is some of it going to be lost? How, and in some ways also how necessary it is versus how desired it is, I guess would be another way of comparing it to.
Yeah, good question, Eddie. Look, what happens is in a typical PRD generation, so this is an evolution, right? When I started using Claude, not really Claude Code, maybe Claude as a on the web, I used to give in bunch of sample documents that I have. I probably upload 3 or 4 documents of my sample PRDs, and I ask Claude to come back with a PRD for a new feature, right? That used to be my typical workflow. But when the output comes, the output is not 100% accurate, right? So probably the document didn't have my brand tone or the formatting. So which means I need to copy a very detailed prompt again and again. And still, I probably have to do at least 10, 20 conversations before I'm finally satisfied about consistency of the output, right? Claude Skill is a beautiful way to automate. Again, the example I've shown you is the most advanced way because I want to cover a diverse set of users, technical PMs, customer facing PMs, and other sort of product managers. But the beauty is you can optimize this as per your own organization and your own demands, and you can further reduce this and customize it, right? And the best advantage is Claude Skills will always consume least possible amount of tokens to get to your final goal. So if you want less token consumption, less money to be spent on a definitive workflow, especially PRD creation, you should definitely go for it. Does it answer your question, Eddie?
Yeah, it does. It does. And when you're building with the PRDs, one thing I use is because I've used Lovable. I'm still new. I've only used Lovable, and I'm trying to jump on a few others. Uh,
Mhm.
I make sure that there's a task MD basically or sprints MD, so everything goes in sprints and phases, so I could pretty much monitor the development. Do you do that as
Mhm.
well with the PRD, or do you just feed it again the PRD and let it pretty much fly? Like how do you structure the actual development? How do you monitor it as it continues?
Yeah, I think I took a lot of effort in terms of optimizing these particular skill.md files, right? So if you look at this, so if you look at some of these, right? So I have fed PRD template here. I have fed brand colors here. It took me a couple of iterations to build this entire skill for myself. But once I have built this, this works like a charm, right? So now all I do is, I'm very sorry guys, I could not open Claude and show you the real demo. But what happens now is when I go to Claude Code, I say, write a PRD for PayPal integration for me. It automatically triggers this Claude skill. And within 1 minute, my full PRD is ready, right? Full PRD document, PDF, all those things are ready along with all the while it adheres consistently to my detailed instructions. So I think that's the beauty. So I don't monitor generally. I just do Control O on Claude Code, and I look at what it tends to do. It took me a lot of iterations to sort of build this skill, but once it is built, it is consistently reusable every time, and it gives me perfect output. Okay,
All right.
Eddie,
Thank you.
sense? All right, great. Any other questions, folks? Okay, awesome. And someone has pinged on the chat. Okay. Yeah, Eddie. I'm going to share this document with all of you guys, and I'm also going to share this PRD skill specifically, and I'll give you an instruction in terms of how you can import into your own Cloud Code or Cloud Cowork, and you can reuse it, repurpose for yourself. So that way, I think you'll not at least 1 week of your time will be saved. So you can just customize it and start using for yourself. All right. Um, Have you tried nesting skills or we should keep them separate? I haven't tried nesting skills per se. I have used one skill at a time, but that's an interesting thing. Probably I'll try it out next time. But I haven't used. Typically, even for this particular skill, if you see, we have used some advanced concepts like progressive context loading, right? In skill.md for a feature breakdown, I only had specific set of instructions. But when Claude triggers that skill, we had very detailed documentation like PRD template, brand colors, other things, which is a progressive disclosure of context so that we don't load up the context window. And we also had a post-processing script, right, which runs and which converts the .md file into a PDF and document, and everything happens one shot. So, um, but I'll definitely try nested skills next time, Swet. All right. Yes, Sadi, I am on LinkedIn. I'll ping you the link. Tudum, tudum, tudum. Feel free to reach out to me, connect to me for anything that you need. All right, cool guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for patiently listening to the entire session. Hopefully, you guys have gained some knowledge today. And I'll ensure I'll follow up with a detailed instruction in terms of how to import this skill and start building your PRDs dynamically. All right, have a nice day. Bye bye.